In the summer of 1985, Carl Sagan published a novel that would become his most personal work. Contact told the story of Ellie Arroway, a scientist who detected a signal from the stars, a message that would force humanity to confront its place in a universe teeming with intelligence. The book explored something profound. How would we react to concrete evidence that we are not alone? Not with fear, not with panic, but with the careful, methodical process of science, seasoned with the natural human emotions of wonder and doubt. Today, we stand at an intersection Sagan imagined but never witnessed. An object named 3I Atlas has entered our solar system from interstellar space, carrying with it chemistry from another star system, traveling at velocities that dwarf anything bound to our sun. It is not a radio signal. It is not a mathematical sequence beamed across light years. It is physical, tangible, observable through our telescopes. In a sense, 3I Atlas represents the kind of physical contact with the wider galaxy that Sagan knew must be possible, even inevitable given the scales of cosmic time and space. What would Carl Sagan make of this visitor? What lessons from his masterpiece Contact can guide us as we observe this object hurtling through our cosmic neighborhood? If you want to explore these questions with the rigor and wonder that Sagan brought to everything he touched, join us on this journey. Subscribe to continue this exploration of how science fiction becomes science fact. The central question Contact posed remains as relevant now as it was 40 years ago. When we encounter something from beyond our solar system, how do we distinguish between what we observe and what we hope or fear to find? Carl Sagan wrote Contact during a period when the search for extraterrestrial intelligence was both scientifically serious and culturally controversial. He had co-founded the Planetary Society in 1980, partly to support SETI research, and he understood the delicate balance between legitimate scientific inquiry and wild speculation. In Contact, he gave us Ellie Arroway, a character who embodied his own approach, relentlessly curious, rigorously skeptical, and profoundly aware that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. This phrase, which Sagan popularized, becomes our guiding principle as we examine 3I Atlas. Let's start with what we know, what the observations tell us without interpretation or speculation. 3I Atlas was discovered on January 21, 2025 by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System in Hawaii. The designation 3I indicates it is the third confirmed interstellar object detected passing through our solar system, following 1I Oumuamua in 2017 and 2I Borisov in 2019. The I stands for interstellar, a classification reserved for objects whose trajectories show they are not gravitationally bound to the Sun. The velocity measurements are stunning. 3I Atlas is traveling at approximately 290, 0 kilometers per hour relative to the Sun, far exceeding the escape velocity needed to leave our solar system. Its trajectory is hyperbolic, meaning it will pass through once and never return, continuing its journey through the Milky Way galaxy. Spectroscopic observations from multiple observatories, including preliminary data from the James Webb Space Telescope, show that as 3I Atlas approached closer to the Sun, it began to brighten and develop a faint coma, the characteristic fuzzy envelope that forms when ices on a comet's surface sublimate into gas under solar heating. Follow-up observations detected the spectral signatures of water vapor, carbon dioxide, and other volatile compounds. These are the chemical fingerprints of cometary activity, processes we have observed in thousands of comets native to our solar system. The object's composition appears consistent with comets formed in the outer regions of distant planetary systems, ejected by gravitational interactions with giant planets and sent wandering through interstellar space. Current models suggest there could be billions upon billions of such wanderers in the galaxy, most never coming close enough to any star to be detected. We are glimpsing a population of objects that connects all star systems, a kind of galactic ecology of planetesimals cast adrift. This is where Contact becomes our teacher. In Sagan's novel, when Ellie Arroway detected the signal, she did not immediately declare it proof of alien intelligence. Instead, she followed protocols. She verified the signal through independent observations. She ruled out terrestrial sources of interference, satellites, natural astronomical phenomena. She brought in other scientists to confirm what she was seeing. Only after exhaustive verification did the scientific community accept that the signal was real and artificial. Even then, the interpretation of what the signal meant remained debated throughout the story. Sagan understood that the path from observation to understanding is paved with careful steps, each one requiring evidence. He also understood human nature, how we project our hopes and fears onto ambiguous data, how we want to find meaning and intelligence in the cosmos so desperately that we sometimes see it where it is not. Through Ellie Arroway, he showed us the discipline required to separate wishful thinking from warranted conclusion. So what does this mean for 3I Atlas? Here is where the scientific community finds itself in a familiar debate, one that echoes throughout Contact. The vast majority of astronomers who have studied 3I Atlas see a natural comet, unusual in its interstellar origin, but not in its fundamental nature. The brightening, the coma development, the spectroscopic signatures all match what we expect from icy bodies heated by starlight. The statistics support this. We expected to detect interstellar comets once our observational capabilities improved, and the rate of detection matches theoretical predictions of how many such objects should pass through the inner solar system. However, Professor Avi Loeb of Harvard University has raised questions worth examining. Loeb, who heads the Galileo project studying potential evidence of extraterrestrial technology, has pointed to aspects of 3I Atlas that differ from typical comets. The extreme velocity, though explainable by gravitational ejection from a distant star system, is at the higher end of theoretical predictions. The precise composition and certain orbital characteristics could, he argues, warrant closer investigation to rule out artificial origins before we conclude it is purely natural. This is not a claim that 3I Atlas is a probe or spacecraft, but rather an argument that extraordinary objects merit extraordinary scrutiny. This is exactly the kind of scientific discussion Sagan would have encouraged. In Contact, he portrayed the tension between those who wanted immediate conclusions and those who demanded more data. He showed us Palmer Joss, the religious philosopher who questioned whether scientific materialism could grasp truths that transcended measurement. He showed us government officials who saw the signal as a threat or opportunity rather than as knowledge. And he showed us scientists who disagreed about interpretation while agreeing on the primacy of evidence. Sagan would ask us to do what Ellie Arroway did. Look at the data. The spectroscopy shows water vapor sublimating from the surface. This is precisely what comets do, both in our solar system and, we now confirm, in others. The coma that formed around 3I Atlas follows the pattern of solar heating, brightening as it approached the sun. Exactly as physics predicts for a comet made of ice and rock, these are not ambiguous signals requiring interpretation. They are direct observations of natural processes. But Sagan would also remind us, as he wrote in The Demon-Haunted World, that science thrives on the edge of the known and unknown. The fact that 3I Atlas appears to be a natural comet does not diminish its profound importance. It is still a visitor from another star system. It still carries information about the composition of planets around a distant sun. It still represents physical contact with the wider galaxy. Ellie Arroway did not need the signal to be a blueprint for a starship to find it meaningful. The mere fact of contact, of knowing with certainty that there was intelligence out there, was transformative. Consider what 3I Atlas tells us, even as a natural object. Its existence confirms that the process of planet formation we observe in our solar system occurs elsewhere. The chemicals in its coma, the ratios of different isotopes, the types of ices that make up its composition, these are data points about the conditions around another star. We are doing comparative planetology across light years. We are learning about star systems we may never visit by studying the debris they eject. Sagan wrote in Contact about the importance of SETI, not just for the potential contact, but for what it represented about human aspiration. The search itself was valuable because it forced us to think clearly about what constitutes evidence, about how we would recognize intelligence radically different from our own, about our assumptions and biases. The same principle applies to objects like 3I Atlas. Whether it is natural or artificial, The process of investigating it rigorously is teaching us how to study interstellar objects, how to design observational campaigns, how to extract maximum information from fleeting encounters. The James Webb Space Telescope, which Sagan advocated for in its early planning stages decades ago, is capable of spectroscopic analysis that would have seemed like science fiction when Contact was published. We can now measure the composition of exoplanet atmospheres light years away. We can detect the chemical signatures of objects passing through our solar system with precision Sagan could only dream of. These tools allow us to apply his standard of extraordinary evidence to extraordinary claims. And make no mistake, even the claim that 3I Atlas is a natural comet is in a sense extraordinary. It is a comet from another star system, carrying chemistry that formed in a planetary disk we have never observed, around a star we may never identify. It has traveled through interstellar space for potentially millions of years, surviving cosmic ray bombardment, the vacuum of space, the gradual erosion of time. It is a time capsule, a message in a bottle, cast from one shore of the galaxy to another. In Contact, Sagan explored the idea that the signal Ellie detected was not the only form of communication from extraterrestrial intelligence. The signal led to a machine, which led to an experience that challenged conventional notions of space, time, and reality. But perhaps the most profound communication in the novel was not the signal itself, but what it revealed about humanity. How we responded to Contact became a mirror showing us our own nature, our capacity for cooperation and conflict, our ability to transcend nationalism and embrace a cosmic perspective. 3I Atlas offers us a similar mirror. The debates about whether it could be artificial, whether we should send a probe to intercept it, whether its unusual characteristics warrant special attention, these debates reveal our readiness to think about our place in a galaxy that may be rich with other civilizations or may be profoundly lonely. Sagan understood that both possibilities are profound. If we are alone, then the preservation of life on Earth becomes cosmically urgent, for we are the universe's only way of knowing itself. If we are not alone, then we are part of a community of intelligence spanning the stars, and we have responsibilities to that community. The character of Ellie Arroway was in many ways Sagan's ideal scientist. She was driven by curiosity, not by ego. She followed the data wherever it led, even when it conflicted with her expectations. She understood that science is not about proving what you already believe, but about discovering what nature reveals. And crucially, she never lost her sense of wonder. The rigorous application of the scientific method did not make the cosmos less marvelous. It made every confirmed discovery more meaningful because it was true. This is the lens we must use for 3I Atlas. If further observations show conclusively it is a natural comet, that conclusion does not diminish its importance. We will have confirmed that comets ejected from other star systems make their way through the galaxy, that the same physical and chemical processes that created our solar system operate elsewhere. We will have data about the composition of planetary systems we cannot yet observe directly. We will have demonstrated our ability to detect, track, and study interstellar visitors. If, on the other hand, future observations reveal characteristics that cannot be explained by natural processes, if we find evidence that demands consideration of artificial origins, then we will follow that evidence with the same rigor. Sagan would insist on both possibilities remaining open until the evidence compels a conclusion, but he would also insist on proportion in our speculation. Unusual does not mean artificial. Rare does not mean impossible. Extraordinary claims really do require extraordinary evidence. The beauty of Contact as a novel is that Sagan never abandoned his scientific rigor even in fiction. The signal in the book is discovered through SETI protocols that actually existed. The political and social reactions are based on Sagan's understanding of how governments and populations actually respond to paradigm-shifting discoveries. The scientific debates in the novel mirror real discussions in the SETI community. Even the physics of the machine, while speculative, is grounded in real theoretical frameworks from general relativity and quantum mechanics. This commitment to realism within fiction taught readers how to think about the actual search for extraterrestrial intelligence. It modeled the kind of careful reasoning and emotional honesty that Sagan believed we needed when contemplating our place in the universe. And it acknowledged the profound human hunger for meaning, for connection, for evidence that we are part of something larger than ourselves. 3i Atlas feeds that hunger in its own way. It is tangible evidence that we are part of a galactic system where material, matter itself, flows between star systems. We are not isolated. The chemistry that makes up your body, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, all of it was forged in the hearts of stars and scattered across space. 3i Atlas carries similar chemistry from a different stellar furnace, and for a few weeks it passes close enough for us to study it. This is connection. This is contact of a kind that Sagan celebrated throughout his career. In Cosmos, Sagan wrote about how we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. Through our telescopes, our spectroscopes, our mathematical models, the universe is examining itself, understanding its own processes. When we study 3i Atlas, we are not separate observers looking at a foreign object. We are star stuff studying star stuff, atoms from one part of the galaxy comprehending atoms from another. This perspective, which Sagan articulated so beautifully, transforms every observation into an act of cosmic self-awareness. The discipline of astrobiology, which Sagan helped establish, is built on the principle that life and intelligence are natural phenomena arising from chemistry and physics. If we find unambiguous evidence of technology from another civilization, it will not violate natural law. It will confirm that the same evolutionary processes that produced intelligence on Earth can produce it elsewhere. This is why Sagan could be simultaneously skeptical of specific claims of alien contact and optimistic about the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence existing. The existence of such intelligence is plausible given what we know about the universe. The evidence for specific encounters, whether with spacecraft or signals, must meet the same standard as any other scientific claim. 3i Atlas exists in this space between possibility and confirmation. It is possible that some interstellar objects will turn out to be artificial. The galaxy is billions of years old, potentially containing civilizations millions of years more advanced than ours. Such civilizations might send probes, might conduct exploration, might have technologies for interstellar travel that we have not imagined. But possibility is not evidence. Every specific object must be evaluated on its own merits, based on what we observe, not on what we imagine could be true. The spectroscopic data from 3i Atlas points clearly toward a natural origin. The brightening pattern matches cometary outgassing. The chemical composition matches what we expect from icy planetesimals. The trajectory, while hyperbolic and therefore interstellar in origin, is consistent with an object ejected from a distant planetary system by gravitational interactions. These observations do not require us to invoke anything beyond known physical processes, and yet Sagan would want us to remain curious. As more interstellar objects are detected, and they will be detected as our survey capabilities improve, we will build a statistical understanding of their properties. We will learn what is typical for interstellar comets and what is anomalous. We will develop better techniques for rapid observation and analysis. Perhaps we will even develop the capability to send fast probes to intercept them, to study them up close as they pass through our solar system. Each new visitor teaches us something about the galaxy beyond our sun. In Contact, Ellie Arroway's journey led her to a profound experience that she could not prove to others, that existed in the space between objective reality and subjective truth. Sagan was exploring the limitations of science as a way of knowing, acknowledging that some truths might be inaccessible to third-party verification, while still maintaining that the scientific method is our best tool for understanding the natural world. This tension, this acknowledgement that science has boundaries while still being our most reliable path to knowledge, is part of what made Contact such a mature and thoughtful novel. 3i Atlas will not take us on a journey through wormholes to meet ancient galactic civilizations, at least, not that we know of. But it does take us on a journey through the scientific process, through the careful accumulation of evidence, through the debate between different interpretations, through the application of critical thinking to extraordinary phenomena. This journey, the process of doing science in real time with the whole world watching, is itself valuable. Sagan believed in the power of science to inspire, to elevate, to connect us with the cosmos. He believed that understanding how nature works, really understanding it through mathematics and observation and experiment, was more awe-inspiring than any myth or superstition. The fact that 3I Atlas is probably a natural comet makes it no less remarkable. It is still a visitor from the depths of space, still a piece of another star system, still a phenomenon that challenges our observational capabilities and expands our understanding. The greatest gift contact gives us is a framework for thinking about cosmic phenomena with both skepticism and wonder. Sagan showed us that these are not opposites but complements. We can demand rigorous evidence while still feeling the thrill of discovery. We can rule out unlikely explanations while remaining open to the truly unprecedented. We can be cautious in our conclusions while being bold in our questions. As we continue to observe 3I Atlas, as we refine our measurements and analysis, we are engaging in the kind of science that Sagan championed. We are using the tools of reason and observation to understand something genuinely extraordinary. We are testing hypotheses against data. We are distinguishing between what we wish were true and what the evidence supports. And in doing this, we are honoring the legacy of a man who believed that the cosmos was calling to us, inviting us to understand, to explore, to take our place as one species among perhaps many in a universe far stranger and more wonderful than we imagine. When Sagan wrote Contact, he was imagining a future where humanity took its place among the civilizations of the galaxy. He was hopeful about our ability to overcome our provincial concerns and embrace a cosmic perspective. He was concerned about the destructive paths we might take, but optimistic that our better angels could prevail. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence was, for him, a search for perspective, a way of asking the most profound questions about life, consciousness, intelligence, and meaning. 3I Atlas may not answer those questions, but it reminds us they are worth asking. It reminds us that we live in a galaxy where matter flows between stars, where the chemistry of life is scattered across light years, where the possibility of contact, whether through natural objects or intentional signals, is real and scientifically tractable. This realization, this expansion of perspective, this understanding that we are part of a galactic community, even if we are the only intelligence within it, this is the gift that objects like 3I Atlas offer us. Carl Sagan passed away in 1996, but his influence continues through the scientists he inspired, the institutions he helped create, and the way of thinking he modeled for millions of people. When we approach 3I Atlas with rigor and wonder, when we demand evidence for extraordinary claims while remaining open to extraordinary discoveries, when we see in this visitor from the stars an opportunity for learning rather than fear, we are continuing his work. We are being the kind of thinking, feeling, scientifically literate citizens he believed we needed to become. The cosmos is calling. Through objects like 3I Atlas, through the light of distant stars, through the mathematical elegance of natural law, the universe is inviting us to understand. Sagan taught us how to answer that call, not with credulity or cynicism, but with critical thinking seasoned with wonder. That is his legacy. That is what Contact teaches us about this visitor from the stars and about ourselves. We are capable of understanding. We are capable of wisdom. We are, in the end, star stuff contemplating star stuff, and that is perhaps the most profound contact of all. Continue to explore these cosmic questions with the curiosity and rigor that Carl Sagan embodied. Help spread this perspective of scientific wonder by sharing this journey with others. The universe is vast, ancient, and full of phenomena waiting to be understood. We are privileged to live in an age where we can detect visitors from other star systems, where we can analyze their composition, where we can place ourselves in the context of a galaxy billions of years old. This is the adventure Sagan invited us to join, and every new observation, every new discovery, every careful thought brings us closer to understanding our place in the cosmos.